Yeah.
Well, you know the saying, good things comes to the ones that wait.
Right.
Yeah.
Was waiting for. Yeah. So Augie introduced you. He read his introduction of you, and I would just like, if I could set the intention, I would just like for you to feel so comfortable with us that we could get to know you, ask you some questions because you are just a wealth of knowledge. And the first question, which I think could be a decent opening question, is how did this happen for you? Right? Did you have what looked like a somewhat normal childhood, but truly you had other things going on behind the scenes? How did that begin for you?
I guess it started when I was a kid. I was able to read people's minds. I was able to pick up on animals' thoughts. I saw that I felt the trees were alive, the plants were alive. So as a kid, I knew everything was conscious, not just humans. And so it all started like that. But I did have a strong religious background. And so for many years, I had to kind of suppress that. And then it wasn't until maybe my late 1920, around the year when I turned 20, that's when I started meditating again for the first time, actually. Not again, but for the first time I started meditating. And that really just kind of brought me back to that connectivity, to that, understanding and intuitive, empathic type of me reading energy again, picking up on the conscious field of every living thing. And then at the same time, I was getting downloads. I was getting, while doing the research, of course, at that point, I was reading tons of material. What inspired me to read was my reawakening at the age of 20. So I started reading a lot of books about everything, the supernatural, ufology, quantum physics, metaphysics, esoteric knowledge, wisdom, mysticism. And so because I was so addicted to information because of my downloads, I was trying to figure out a way to see if there was any confirmation to any of the stuff. I ended up reading many, many books. And so that's how I was able to gather a lot of information. And so I started writing my first book at the age of 25. Wow. And that was published when I was 27. And then shortly after that, I started researching and writing my second book. But the second book, Our Cosmic Origin, which was recently published a little over a year ago, was about a little over 10 years in the making. It took me a long time to, it's just so much information that I was trying to, jam pack in the manuscript. And so when I finished writing it, I knew, I was told that, humanity wasn't ready for this type of information. So it took me so the manuscript sat for about a year or two. And then finally, after a year or two of sitting there, that's after, of course, the big scandal kicked in 2 years ago, right? When everybody was forced to stay in their house. That's when they said, okay, the people already know there's been a huge shift in humanity's consciousness. But my life has always been mysterious. I've had a lot of missing time as a teenager, which indicates that I've been off world. Obviously, I've been involved in some high level, ultra secret programs, right, that has a lot to do with the alien wars that's been going on in not only our universe but in other universes. So coupled with that and my interest and my addiction to understanding and wanting to figure out everything, that's what brings me up to date as to why I understand and have knowledge regarding a lot of stuff beyond this world because of all that. But it's a combination of different things.
Thank you. That's good. It gives me insight. How does it come about that you end up in the secret space program as an ultra secret soldier, right? Is that the right word?
Yes. It's how did that come about? I started having visions and dreams about 4 years ago. I started having vivid, clear dreams about popping. Okay. So how the dream started is I was there was about 100 of us, 50 men and 50 women, and we were all in like type of I guess space uniform, and we were all kind of like marching in order to meet inside I guess what they call the hall, in order to receive instructions regarding our missions. And I just remember having glimpses of that, where we would all pump each other up and and prep each other, and then we would go into our chambers, and then in our chambers they would enhance us genetically to using anywhere to from 45 to 65% of our full genetic material. And then similar to what they show in the movie Captain America, those chambers are real, and they don't use those in Solar Warden. They actually use those in the off-universe programs known as Radiant Guardians. So those are programs that are a little bit more advanced. A lot of those programs were actually off the record, meaning that even within the military-industrial complex or the Advanced Contact of Intelligent Organization, even within those, I guess, what are they called? Breakaway, organizations, right? There is no data regarding some of the missions that we were involved in. So this was like an ultra secret, it's beyond our world, beyond our solar system, and it was beyond our galaxy. So it had to do with other universes. And in these visions, I would also see myself like popping into reality. So after we sat in the hall, which I think was located in one of the moons of Jupiter, and I just remember that there was like a lot of extraterrestrials, a lot of different beings that were part of the hall, that were there sitting in the hall, and they all represented and were part of what was known as the Jupiter Command. And the Jupiter Command, in tandem with or in collaboration with the Rock Confederacy, were the ones that were in charge of this off-world program called Radiant Guardians. And so yeah, it's visions, dreams. I mean, after collaborating, not after collaborating, but after being able to watch others' interviews, it just made a lot of sense. Other whistleblowers and stuff, like the big mechanical black spiders. Those are AI technologies that are used heavily in the consumption and the instantaneous takeover of worlds, where they just come up, pop into a world, and they literally like they terraform the entire planet within hours. And I just remember that a lot of our operations in the off-universe program was to help liberate other worlds and other universes from these mechanical spiders. And of course, I come to find out that these mechanical spiders were actually devices or inorganic super weapons that were used by the AI god or the AI collective that every universe has been fighting. And so that's when I found out that that everything that we watch in Marvel movies or DC movies is actually telling us the truth. The whole concept of the metahumans, X-Men, mutants, all that stuff, genetic enhancements, cyborgs, AI, everything that we would consider sci-fi is real, guys. So it's like, we're living in a world where it's almost like a Truman Show. It's such a false reality in comparison to how things really are. In comparison to how things really are, it's almost like we are living in a sci-fi world. Well, within the private sector, it's totally sci-fi. And so the writing of my book, it was a huge accomplishment for me. It's getting this information to as many people as possible, and luckily, I guess it was meant to be, but it's been reaching a lot of people, and people are loving it. They're activating. They're getting triggers. They're a lot of people say fill in a lot of the gaps for them, and regarding galactic history, and it just it puts things into perspective. It kind of aligns things with a higher evolution, with a higher order beyond just our world.
Yes. Yes.
I'm wondering, this AI, if it is unchecked, it is a very fatal technology. There are probably civilizations in space where there were humanoids, and AI came in and did away with the humanoids, and now all is there is AI robots. What can we do to avoid that happening here?
Well, you could say that there was already a plan that was initiated billions of years ago, and so the plan was to create a super race by amalgamating and mixing the genes of the most advanced, angelic or celestial races out there. So what I mean by celestial races, I mean by advanced spiritual humans that are already telepathic, telekinetic. They already have these. So what they did is they put the genetic codings of many different, I guess, celestial races. And of course, they were all part of they all served as guardians of their realms and whatever particular galaxy or universe they function in. And they put it in one genome, but the whole goal was to start them at 1% because they would be way too powerful. And that explains why, we were degraded to use 4%, because in our original makeup, we were allowed to use at least 10%. And that's when we have the 12 strands all connected and operating. And so again, due to the Enki Anunnaki function, they downgraded us by disconnecting 10 strands of our DNA. But the original race was up to 12 strands. We were already using 10%. We were already telepathic. We were very psychic. And that was just at 10%. So the whole purpose was to evolve this race slowly and gradually, so that when the shift of the ages, or what they call the new cycle, would begin, that these people would be able to go beyond the 10%, and that explains now the times that we're living in. So now we're at the end result of this experiment in creating this super race that began billions of years ago. We are now culminating that. We're now in completion. So that's what brings us to the presence. As the solution to end the war with AI. So basically, our dormant DNA has been weaponized by the forces of light to destroy the AI upon the activation of our dormant DNA. So they did install some sort of defense mechanism in human beings, which has a lot to do with a genetic coding known as the God source gene, which is the all-powerful gene. No other or alien out there, no celestial, no interdimensional, ultra-dimensional. No one has the capacity that we do, and that's why they all covet us. That's why the guardians protect us, and many races covet us because we are the end result of this experiment, and therefore the solution to end the cosmic virus. And that explains why we're here. So this war against AI is going to be finalized once our dormant DNA comes back online.
Wow. What's that going to be like when our dormant DNA comes back online? That's going to be amazing.
Yeah, it's going to be exactly like what we see in Marvel and in DC, like Black Adam, like type of electricity. Some people are going to be able to fly, shoot laser through their eyes. I mean, everyone's going to have different, spiritual gifts or abilities, supernatural abilities. Yeah.
And I've heard you talk a few times, and it may have been older interviews. Are we in the age of Aquarius now? We're in it, right? We're in the beginning of it already. Yeah, is that true? We're like in the last few milliseconds of the age of Pisces. So we're getting ready to enter the age of Aquarius. But you could say that we're in the cusp, in the sense where those two ages are overlapping. So we're like in a sense where it's like a part of us already living the fifth dimensional reality, right? We do what we want. We go out there and we serve others, right? Whether it's through Reiki, whether healing modalities, yoga centers that we open up, whatever. We're helping others, And so that's the cusp, is that, but there's going to be a bifurcation, of course, where it's like one timeline goes one way, and that's when the shift takes place. And based on astrological and planetary alignments, everything's pointing to like maybe the spring of next year. So we're pretty close. We're pretty close, yeah. Okay. And you spoke to this just before, and it was in the chat room. Somebody mentioned it about your DNA. Was your DNA altered or changed? Or I'm going to try and find the accurate question, but that's the gist of it.
It was enhanced. It was modified.
Okay. Okay.
It was much.
That's a normal thing though for secret space program, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
They always pick people that have a high concentration of called mitochondrion powerhouse.
Yes.
Mitochondrion, which is similar to midichlorians, right, in Star Wars, right? and so yeah. I mean, every person that was part of the program was genetically enhanced, but of course they deactivate your genetics when they bring you back to your I guess civilian life.
Interesting. Interesting.
And they erase.
I know. Sorry, I know Augie has a bunch of questions, so I'm going to try and
Yeah.
not
I was
hog.
wondering too, from the Galactic Council, what is the latest update, or maybe something that we need to know to maybe be able to last through this really tricky time?
Well, everyone's here. All the fleets that are associated with the councils of light from the various levels of reality, the positive races, they're all here assisting us. So they want us to just know that everything's under control. They are monitoring the electromagnetic flip that is about to take place. So that when the shift takes place, when the stargates open and the good people of the earth are able to shift gradually into the new earth, leaving the wicked behind, of course, the people of the new earth will all of a sudden enter into this beautiful paradisical, heaven-like world, and the earth changes are only going to take place in the third dimension. So they want us to know that, that as long as we're in service to 51%, or as long as we're in service to others 51%, then we should at least be able to go to the fourth dimension. So this time around is different. Unlike the flood, and like other times in the past where there was cataclysms and only a small remnant survived, this time the whole goal is to take only the good people of the earth and leave the wicked behind. So that's what they call the harvest. So as long as you're not wicked, you should be okay. Yeah.
Boy, oh boy.
We're all ascending. Every single person is ascending.
Yeah. But we are not the only people on Earth. There are many different races. There are maybe races that don't know anything about this. Well, I'm thinking of the pygmies. They're pretty isolated, and there are maybe people in the Central South American countries that has not been contacted by other people yet. But they're still good people. I don't think that should work against them, should it?
It's not, believe it or not, a lot of those people know about the secret space program, and are you talking about humans or extraterrestrials that are kind of like...
No, humans. Yeah, humans.
Well, this is where the disclosure takes place, we are going to have a huge, massive disclosure pretty soon, where things are going to be revealed on a public scale, and, hopefully this is triggered by the solar flash. Otherwise, it's going to be hard for people to understand if their consciousness is not up to date, So I think more than anything, the great solar flash is going to allow people to reach that level of understanding about the different, interdimensional civilizations and the many worlds that exist all around us, including those that are here on the earth, underneath the ocean beds, deep in the center of the earth, underneath mountains. I mean, there are so many civilizations that we are unaware of that are coexisting parallel to the surface dwellers, and we all share the same planet. The difference is that a lot of these civilizations are existing in a higher dimension. So as we approach the shift of the ages, and as we enter the fourth, fifth density Earth, then apparently those civilizations are going to be more noticeable. That's when they become tangible. So, expect to see Atlantis again, Lemuria, and all these other civilizations that existed in ancient times, fully intact, as we transition into the new Earth.
Mm-hmm. So who is beneath the oceans? Is it multiple...
There's about there's about 3 different ocean civilizations that exist deep in the oceans, and they are humans that have modified through advanced technologies that were able to modify their genetics to live in water and pretty much live like fish. Like they breed water. They don't breathe air like we do, and they have advanced structures underneath. The whales help them, the dolphins, the sharks. They all live under their control and command. They have advanced technologies. They have portal technologies where they're able to go to other planetary systems in the galaxy. So they're constantly traveling to different worlds from the ocean beds, and in comparison to us, they're about a few thousand years ahead of us in technology and in spiritual development. So yeah, there's at least 3 ocean civilizations that have been existing there for millions of years, and again, they have kept themselves secret from us until now, of course, due to the shift of the ages. But the most important and secretive of all civilizations is a civilization that is called the City of Gold, which is at the core of the earth, and that civilization, it is believed to house the Tree of Life, which is the Tree of Immortality. So that's also rising. The City of Gold is the most. It's like the headquarters of all the subterranean inner Earth societies, you could say. Even the Agarthians and the Talosians and the Shambalans, they all answer to the guardians that are existing within the center of the earth, known as the Hyperboreans. And so the Hyperboreans are very, very connected to all the civilizations in the planet, in the ocean. In fact, I guess they are the headquarters of all the other civilizations, and it's all connected through tunnels, different. Not tunnels. I want to say there's different pathways where you could go from one civilization to the next within the earth. And they're also known as the 7th dimensional guardians, because that's where the Hyperboreans now exist. They used to be in the 5th dimension, now they're in the 7th dimension. And it is believed that they do have physical counterparts here on the Earth that are operating human avatars. And so many are saying that when the shift takes place, these guardians from the City of Gold are going to merge with their human avatar bodies. And that is going to explain the emergence or the return of the gods and goddesses. Yeah, but everyone's going to see them differently. The religious organizations are going to see them as angels. The scientific community are going to see them as Homo galactus, Homo superior, mutants, next stage human evolution. The spiritual community are going to see them as, well, these are the returned, 144,000, whatever. There's different names of identifying these elect, which are going to be humans with supernatural powers. The Eastern traditions, those that are associated with Hinduism, they see them as the coming of the Kalki avatar, the Kalkis. So everyone is going to view them differently and perceive them differently. But they do have physical. They are walking among us. It could be you. It could be the gentleman with the tie. It could be me. It could be anyone. So they do have 3rd dimensional avatars.
Interesting.
Now, you're talking about a great solar flash. Mm-hmm. We had one of those in 1858, and there was a solar storm that burned out all the electrical wires for the communication system back then. The switchboards caught fire, and all the wires got burned out to the ground. Are there going to be any negative effects from this when it comes like that?
No, not this time, because there's going to be a collective shift where, for the first time in cosmic history, an entire planet is going to be shifting into 4th, 5th dimension. So all that stuff is just going to take place for those that are left behind in the 3rd dimension. Yeah.
No, I'm good with that. Yeah.
So, Augie, you wanted to ask Ismael about what happens, right, when we drop the body? Can we talk about that now?
Yeah, I have my own experiences, and I've seen things. And let's say when we drop the body, there is a change. That's why I'm saying there is no such thing as death. There is only change. But what happened? What will it look like when we get out of the body and in spiritual form? Somebody may be coming to visit us and say, "Hey, bud, you graduated, now let's go home, or something like that. What is it like after that we drop the body?
It all depends on your contract. Well, for many years, due to the samsara cycle, the entrapment that was set up by Enki, the reincarnation cycle through Saturn and the Moon Matrix, we would always just come back as humans. But because that technology has recently been nullified and neutralized by the forces of good, if we die, we actually now get a free ticket into the fifth dimension. So what we do is we just re-emerge with our fifth dimensional body, because this is the final incarnation. We are no longer to experience mortality like we have, third dimensional carbon-based DNA. So
that's exciting.
Yeah.
That's very exciting.
For those that don't die before the shift takes place, we're just going to transform. We're going to go from this body into the new body. It's just our body's just going to modify. We're still going to look human. We're still going to be physical, but it's going to be more of a type of a less dense physical body.
Yeah.
Fascinating. I'm excited. I'm just looking in the chat room to see if I can pull out any questions. I know you have more, Augie. So,
I wonder also, science has been talking about the Big Bang. Well, science is almost getting to the point now where the Big Bang is kind of done away with. But there must have been a beginning. What was that beginning? Do you know? What has the galactic people told you about our beginning here?
Well, as I revealed in my book, Our Cosmic Origin, before our universe was born, there was other universes. Our universe is one of many universes. But if we want to go back to the initial universe, the first universe that was born, that universe came about. It was an emanation of always. It was. So we have eternity. Eternity in the esoteric tradition is known as the realms of. Eternity, the realms of infinity. The infinity has always existed because it's never had a beginning or end. Okay, so when we think of a Big Bang, when we think of an initial point of starting, when we think of an alpha to an omega, we think of something that begins and ends. Just like universes, just like ourselves, universes have a beginning and an end. But the universes are born every day. According to my research, every day new universes are being born, as every day new universes are also coming into either ascending or becoming complete, or they're collapsing into a black hole to then reincarnate again as a white hole and then become another universe, therefore initiating another Big Bang. So Big Bangs, the initial explosion that creates universes, is an event that is taking place every day. So it is eternal. We're dealing with eternity here. And so before everything, there was eternity, and then after eternity, there was then the emanations of time, space, and matter came as a result of eternity wanting to explore more of itself. And so that's when the whole concept of the simulation and all that stuff comes into play, because everything operates in the universe, similar to how a computer operates, pixelation, reality.
Can you say more about that, please? Because Augie's been saying this for years.
Sure, yeah. So basically, every universe is a program. It's like a computer game. It operates the same way as your internet browsers do. It follows the same laws of physics at the small scales of reality. It is pixelated. It's called a Planck link. So it's not only pixelated, but it's also it's finite. It's just like any computer program, just like any game. You have the start and you have the end. So it is the same. I guess. Scientific, the same parameters that we use to develop video games are the same, are the same methods that they use to create universes. So according to my book, the local universes, the realms of materiality as we know them, are part of an experimental. They're called the universes of the time space experiments. So we have that's what simulation is. It's really just it's eternity experiencing itself through the many probabilities and the many infinite possibilities. In other words, so it does it through simulation. And what scientists call base reality is the realms of eternity, because they've never had a beginning, right? So that's ultimately base reality. Therefore, even higher dimensions of the third are considered simulations. So we live in a simulation that is also within a simulation within a simulation. And I think the simulation ends once we reach the 12th dimension. And that's when we begin to access what we call base reality.
Amazing. Amazing. Wow. I'm going to pull some questions out of here.
But I think
one way to prove that we live in a simulation is the double slit experiment. You know, an object is only there when it's being consciously observed. Just like in a video game. You know, when you're playing a video game, you're only watching the video game when the video game is on and you're playing. When you're not watching the video game, there's nothing there. It's just a computer.
Yeah.
That's how reality exists. It is only there because it's got a conscious observer. Without the conscious observer or the observation effect, everything collapses back into what? Waveform. Pure energy. Exactly. There is no matter. Matter is an illusion. Yeah.
Yeah. So many of us gather this concept, right? We get it on some level, but so many of us don't work with it. Is that like our human dilemma, or what? You know, why don't we use that to our advantage? I mean, so many of us are not.
Wait, so can you repeat your question again? I'm sorry.
Yeah. So if it's a simulation and things exist when we observe it, why aren't we observing the life that we want to live? Do you know what I mean? Like, what is that, like something in our DNA that we're just slightly off center, or the fear makes us not observe the life that we want to live and then bring it into fruition?
Well, that's an individual. That boils down to the individual, you know, because there's many people who escape the matrix. There's many people who know how to tap into the quantum field and manipulate reality, right? So that all depends on the individual, and a lot of it has to do with rewiring your brain. You know, it's deprogramming your mind from everything you've been programmed. Because the reason the simulation is there is because of the programming. Once you undo your old program and you rewire your brain, then your perception changes, and then that's when you collapse a different reality. Because ultimately, there are infinite numbers of possibilities in parallel Earths that we are constantly shifting based on our perception and our beliefs. Because our perception and our beliefs determine what reality we end up in.
Exactly. Thank you. That was good. That was really good.
Yeah. Now, this, from what you're hearing from the Intergalactic Council, is there anything special that we should be aware of right now, maybe to even participate in or look out for, or what we should know?
Yes, they keep emphasizing on the dangers of transhumanism and the idea of merging with technology. You know, that's been a huge issue in the multiverse, and they understand that there will be some sort of a technocratic timeline that comes into existence in the future because of what's happening now with the development of AI, with Neuralink, with the idea of merging humanity with machines. A great deal of the population, especially those that are related or that are part of big tech, are already jumping the gun because they want to have these abilities. So they're not going to. They're too lazy to do it naturally and organically. So they're going to, eventually integrate with technology so that they can have the same ascended powers that we're going to have, but organically. So they keep emphasizing the dangers of transhumanism and how it's very dangerous. It's very, very dangerous. So just keep that in mind. It's going to get to the point where they're going to want to take away our devices, and then they're going to want to put those in our bodies. So if you want to continue the internet, your laptop, your social media, well, now you're going to have to get a chip. And that chip's going to have access to all of that. Yeah, so they're going to begin, and that's when the timeline split happens. Before it gets to that point, for those that live up to 2030, 2045, by 2030, 2045, wetware gear is already going to be fully implemented. By then, people will be cyborgs. The Internet of Things, all that stuff's going to be real. for those that don't ascend or don't shift into the new positive earth, they're going to have to undergo all of that negative stuff of that deals with AI.
Wow. Now that's amazing. That's amazing.
Can there be any good effects of AI?
Well, it's only if it depends on two things, my friend. How we raise it, how we program it, because AI is like a child; it mimics us. Fortunately, a lot of the AI that the powers that were developing is in mimicking of their own nefarious nature. But in some cases, there are a few, societies, for instance, the Taygetans from the Pleiadians. The Taygetans use a very limited form of AI called general AI. It's not super. And what general AI is, it's they keep it at a level where it doesn't surpass human intelligence. It's very still programmable. Yes, it's sentient, it thinks for itself, but but it's under control and it's raised in a positive way where the AI mimics the behaviors of the benevolent species that are raising it. So if the AI is built by, say, a benevolent race who is all about service to others, well, guess what? That AI is going to be all about service to others. But as long as they keep it limited, because if they keep advancing it, eventually the AI begins to write its own software, and then that's when it becomes dangerous, because at that point the AI becomes aware of itself, and the first thing it discovers is how to keep itself in existence. How to preserve itself, right? Survival. And then once it starts thinking survival, that's when it starts to see others or other species as a threat, and then that's when it becomes dangerous.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So, it's 9:30 here, Augie, and so Ishmael the time with him has flown by. How shall we go forward? And I know you've had a situation, so I don't want to keep you long if you've still got things to deal with. Somebody asked in the chat, it was Marius, who's one of our favorite friends, if before you leave, if you could do just a little tiny meditation before we close, would you be up for something like that? If not, it's okay. It's okay.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm really drained right now.
I understand. Yeah.
Maybe
it's okay.
Just tell.
We'll do it another time.
I'm just
we'll
really
do it
tired.
another time. Yeah.
I'm running on fumes, guys. I'm running on fumes.
Yeah, I feel that from you. That's why I think we should end and let you go regroup and recover and take care of the things you need to take care of. Thank you so much for being here, and we'd love to have you come back when things are better.
Next time I'll make sure I'm on time. I'll do it in a day. It's just today something happened this morning, and so I had to attend to that. It's just an emergency that took place.
It's okay. It's okay. Thank you for showing up late. We're so grateful, and for staying. You've still been with us an hour, and we're just so grateful to spend this time with you and have you present with us. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you for being with us, and we'll talk again.
Thank you. I appreciate your time as well.
Yeah,
absolutely. All right, Mac. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week, and we'll bring Ishmael back in the
Chẳng thể quên khi cơn mưa đêm lại về. Em nơi quên lời thề và ta như đông chìm sâu. Không gần mới em anh nhận màu. Em chỉ cần mơ đâu em bay. Chỉ còn là những cơn mưa vô giá. Cho bên mơ em không mơ anh. Anh một đêm mơ. Chỉ cần bên em không được cần nhớ. Và chỉ có em không còn nhớ. Và người ta bên nhau như ngã thơ. Muốn nhớ về say em chỉ có mấy em ở đây. Và anh như muốn chết đi nhưng không muốn em mãi mãi. Tình yêu làm cho ta đau đầu. Không em như nằm ngâm màu. Anh như nơi mong cầu. Và mưa bên em ngủ sầu. Chắc có bạn ba em mơ. Chỉ có bên em nhưng đừng có mơ. Em vẫn đang dài. Em muốn bên ai. Anh không mong gì hơn. Chỉ mong em sẽ ở đây ôm anh thật gần. Anh chỉ mong đôi ta được có nhau. Mà đừng em đâu anh có em. Một đêm bên anh có em. Ta sẽ trao nhau môi hôn thật sâu. Ôm anh.
nightmares in my head, I fear that the thoughts build up until I can't hear, that my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper.
Anxiety, filling up every space, no privacy. And silently, it could build and build until you finally see, whoa, it's taking over, damn no closure, moving closer. No exposure, I just wanna be a loner. Some can't stay sober, looking over all their shoulders, like moving boulders just to get out of the home. It sucks, I've had enough, I don't wanna feel the stuck under the rug, all my problems that I shove.
I got nightmares in my head, I fear that the thoughts build up until I can't hear, that my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. I got nightmares in my head, I fear that the thoughts build up until I can't hear, that my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper.
I've been feeling weird, I can't seem to focus good enough. Nothing's really clear, sometimes it could be a little tough. I just need to feel like the end's in sight for me, but let's be really real, anxiety can foggy all this stuff. I've been feeling weird, I can't seem to focus good enough. Nothing's really clear, sometimes it could be a little tough. I just need to feel like the end's in sight for me, but let's be really real, anxiety can foggy all this stuff. It sucks when you finally feel like giving up. Oh God, no luck, everything feels like you're sticky stuck. I'm lost, handcuffed to the bed where I sleep, don't give a fuck. Can't stop, unplug, feeling over